Hello and welcome to This Week at the General Assembly. This is our last show of March, and in this week's show, we'll be discussing electronic notice requirements for counties. We'll also be talking about a bill that accomplishes several county legislative goals. We'll have NCACC Executive Director Kevin Leonard on to speak about a bill proposing to change sales tax distributions to counties, and we'll hear some of Surry County Commissioner Larry Phillips' presentation on economic development to a Senate committee. Remember that you can always find more information on any of the topics we discuss here by visiting www.ncacc.org. Let's begin this week with a Senate bill that would accomplish 4 county legislative goals for this biennium. Senate Bill 422, County Omnibus Legislation, was introduced by Senators Jim Davis and Valerie Foushee and would reconstitute the State Payment in Lieu of Taxes Study Commission. It would direct the Revenue Laws Study Commission to study exempting previously taxable properties from tax basis. It would direct the Environmental Review Commission to study a statewide approach to aquatic weed control and funding, and it would clarify county authority to establish and levy fees for the costs of recycling programs. All of those accomplishing a legislative goal for this biennium. Moving on to electronic notice. Electronic notice has been an issue under discussion for counties for several sessions now. This week, the House Judiciary 4 Committee approved a bill that would require counties to continue to publish legal notices in the newspaper. House Bill 156 would also require newspapers to place the notices on their websites on the same day that they appear in the paper. The bill's sponsor, in remarks to a committee, acknowledged that in today's age of technology, more people are getting their information through electronic means. She described House Bill 156 as a compromise and a step in the right direction towards providing information to the public in a format suitable to the time in which we live. A member of the NCACC advocacy team addressed the same committee and informed members of the county's position that House Bill 156 did not go far enough and that it does not give counties the option to publish legal notices on their website in lieu of newspaper publications. Counties statewide are spending $2 million per year to place these notices in the paper, while newspaper readership and subscriptions are declining. Senate Bill 210, Notice Publication by Counties and Cities, which would give counties the option of electronic publication in lieu of publication in a newspaper, is fully supported by the NCACC. We'll have more right after this. NCACC Risk Management Pools, covering the vehicles and people who cover you. This week saw the introduction of Senate Bill 369, which proposes the redistribution of county-levied sales taxes. NCACC Executive Director Kevin Leonard joined us to talk about the impact that change would have, as well as proposed alternatives to that bill.
When we first started hearing about this legislation, and Senator Brown asked us to come in and talk to him about it after it was presented, we told him that there were concerns about the bill because what it does is it basically splits the state into 2 groups of counties. I'm sure that a lot of our county members have seen maps that show the winners and the losers from a sales tax perspective. And it's easy to first look at it and go, my county is going to gain from this proposal. What is not evident on its face of the proposal is if you begin to look at it, you begin to the details of how the statutes are written in the proposed legislation. You find that there are questions about the long-term implications of such a change. Number one, giving up our county authority, our county levied sales tax, what does that mean in the future? That's very problematic for counties because it really undermines their fiscal stability in their future. It's turning a county levied sales tax into a state sales tax. Our concern from the association is that in the future, it impacts 100 counties because it takes that authority away and the certainty that those revenues will go directly to that county. The state could intercept those funds into their general fund and then leave the county with only the option of raising their property tax to raise additional revenue. There are a couple of other articles for sales tax, but the primary sales tax at 2%, that's the real heart of our revenue generator in each county. Number two, and a question that we're wrestling with right now that we don't have all of the details on, is several years ago, counties in the state made an agreement about Medicaid, and it's uncertain at this moment, as we're taping this, whether or not that negatively impacts that deal, which means that counties could end up losing more money, more revenue, if the Medicaid issue is not addressed in the bill correctly. So there's some concerns there related to those issues. I actually appreciate Senator Brown beginning this conversation. And in fact, he said it in the press in January. He said, I want to start this conversation because we need to help some of those counties around our state who are not as prosperous as some of the other counties. The concern, however, is that from an association standpoint, we work for 100 counties. We're trying to find a 100 county solution to the problem he is trying to fix. When we left Senator Brown's office talking with him, we both committed to one another that we would try to seek solutions that would help 100 counties. We talked about several items. We talked about giving more flexibility to our counties in the articles that we already have, whether it is granting the Board of Commissioners the ability to adopt a sales tax versus with a resolution versus a referendum. The county commissioners are elected by the people, and they should be held accountable by the people. The county commissioners already know that. So this idea that they shouldn't have the authority to adopt it by resolution, we feel strongly that they should have that authority. Or, if they wish, put it to a referendum. So that's a piece, raise new revenues that way. There's also some conversations going on about restructuring the lottery, increasing the lottery funds that are to go to counties related to school construction. Also statutory requirements that have counties obligated to set aside certain amounts of money for school capital construction. Some of those laws on the books seem somewhat antiquated, but giving more flexibility to those counties to use those funds either for capital construction, operations, or general fund is another way to think about doing that. Today we're taping this on in the end of March. We are relatively early in the legislative session. The proposal was just issued by Senator Brown this week. Today, in fact, another proposal was filed as a new piece of legislation by Senator Bob Rucho, which has a whole other type of format to restructure taxes in the state of North Carolina. They're basically competing proposals coming out of the Senate. The House, we understand, is working on a piece of legislation that would restructure and give better options to our counties. All that to say, we've got a long way to go with the legislature, the legislative time frame. They work up traditionally to right up to the end of June, working on a budget. So I suspect that this is an issue we will be discussing for a very long time on into the summer.
We'd like to thank Mr. Leonard for joining us today. Next up, Surry County Commissioner Larry Phillips attended the Senate Workforce and Economic Development Committee this week to speak on the findings of the Economic Development Committee he chaired for the NCACC as past President Ray Jeffers' presidential initiative. Here's some excerpts from that presentation.
As a county commissioner, I come from a county that has lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs the last decade. Our per capita income, household income in families is down $10,000. If you took our county average median wage and went to a bank and tried to secure a $120,000 mortgage at 4.25% interest, the bank's going to tell you, sorry, you don't make enough money. And after 10 years of economic strategy and development and incentives and policies. We have a flat tax base in Surrey County. It just simply hasn't worked. So, as a county commissioner, theories are great. But what I look at is the bottom line and how it impacts the citizens of Surrey County, how it enables them to be able to move forward with their lives, to be able to sustain their families. And so those are just some, that's what I bring to the table in this discussion. We've come to an understanding that, bad public policy around economic development is just bad public policy, regardless of which side of the political aisle it comes from. When a family's struggling and people are hungry, it really doesn't matter, where the help comes from. They're just wanting help, and they're wanting to move forward with their lives. Incentives, counties' incentive policies and guidelines should be flexible, but yet predictable. A lot of those include non-tax incentives, which may be fees, regulatory fees, make county business friendly. We're currently in Surrey County trying to look at combining our inspection and permitting processing to streamline that. So we've heard feedback from our business community that says, you guys are not the most business friendly county, and we listen. And we're making the appropriate changes. Counties need a tool to help calculate return on investment. The Federal Reserve, the Community Affairs Unit, used to have a CD that was available to local governments. And it's called FIT, F-I-T, and that's acronym for Physical Impact Tool. And it enabled local governments to enter the data and actually see what economic development policies would mean, how it would move the needles in counties. A lot of rural counties in North Carolina have no way of knowing. They hope it's going to work. They think it's going to work. They've been told to trust that it's going to work. But yet, at the end of the day, to have the solid evidence that says this is really going to move the needle, this is going to expand your tax base, this is going to create the kind of opportunities and jobs opportunities your citizens are looking for, that hard data is missing.
That's all we have for this week. If you'd like more information on any of the topics we've discussed here, please visit www.ncacc.org. There you can subscribe to our legislative bulletin as well as follow us on social media. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.